Hello, welcome to the latest episode of Driving with Dan. This is episode 39, and what's the date today? 14th of December 2018, so getting even closer now to Christmas. And today's topics, a lot of them seem to be Aston Martin. This isn't anything to do with anything, there's just a lot of news with Aston Martin, which is fantastic. We've got some bad news, but also some exciting news from Bloodhound. And Volkswagen. So yes, plenty to come up in this next video. So the first topic then, Aston Martin, and I just read an article about Aston Martin already ditching the Mercedes twin-turbo V8, which I think is sad news for some and good news for others. I haven't got any experience with the Mercedes V8 apart from hearing it, and I'm not keen on it really. I think it was a bit too poppy. You rev it and it pops and it sounded like it could be a Golf R or something, with the turbo noises. And I didn't think it was very Aston Martin style. So for me, I wasn't that keen on the engine, but of course I haven't driven it, so what can I say? Apparently there's a new Aston Martin Vantage straight six rumoured, nothing confirmed yet, but most likely just using one side of the bank of their V12. So easy enough, and it's just a huge hark back to the old days, isn't it, where they had the straight sixes and it was beautiful and they sound incredible and very much Aston Martin. So to see that bit of news and probably linked up with them with a hybrid power that will be over in St Athan, that's all quite exciting, and very good news actually. I really like that, even though it's technically downsizing with lopping off 2 cylinders, because they haven't done a 6-cylinder for a very, very long time. It's good news, I think, because when was the last time they had a 6-cylinder? They had a supercharged straight 6 in DB7. So that's 20-something years ago. Going back to that, and I think, on the path of downsizing, but especially with a hybrid system attached to that, it should be quite good, and especially if it's naturally aspirated. Or supercharged. Just old school. Fantastic. So then the next topic then is about the land speed car, Bloodhounds. So I mentioned a few weeks ago about Bloodhounds going into administration. So they had these administrators come in, try and solve the problem, because they were constantly looking for sponsors, because money was a bit tight. Most of the engineering was done. Track was all set. So many miles. I think it's like 12 miles on it straight. But it's just that last bit of funding really, really struggled with that, and just not enough sponsors around. So the companies then, had to sort of stop all proceedings, which is really, really sad news. And then the car has then had to go for sale, just to try and just get most of the money back. I don't know how much of the car is up for sale, whether it includes the Rolls-Royce engines and the rocket in it. I don't know, but I assume it's sold as a whole car, including the engines, because they were donated from Rolls-Royce as a sponsor. So whether they'll ask for that back, I don't know. But the car is up for sale as a rolling chassis that already can do 200 miles an hour for £250,000, which is a bargain, right? You're talking supercar money, but you're getting a one-of-one hand-built British land speed car. However, you've got to think about the buyer of this, and I think it'd be a shame for it to be bought by a museum and just to sit there in a museum and then not be as interesting, really, because this is a car that didn't do 1,000 miles an hour. I would really like to see it being bought and just going for a company that has a lot of money to spend. And actually, recent news, I think it was today or yesterday, Virgin have had their first proper test flight of their, whatever it is, the Galactic plane, which goes up into space. And that just, basically got into orbit, essentially. It was 51-mile altitude. So a company like Virgin buying it, I would definitely support, especially as they're messing around with rockets. It seems perfect, really. So Richard Branson, please buy Bloodhound. I would really, really, really like to see that. Do it. And especially if it was all British engineering, that would cherry on top if it's British money as well. So Virgin, do it. Yes, so then another topic then is again Aston Martin, and this time it's about the engineering for the new Valkyrie. So if you don't know what the Valkyrie is, it's the low-sung supercar that's just... It's a road car, but it isn't a road car, it's a race car that just looks incredible, and from the year 2090, I swear. But yes, the V12 in it, which we previously didn't have any details about really, is a 6.5 litre naturally aspirated engine with no hybrid, I believe. And you think that's very old school, and yes it is. And it's built by Cosworth, which is just fantastic, beautiful engine. Just hearing that together, let alone what it sounds like, and you can now hear it because Carfection, beautiful as they are, have uploaded that video for everyone to view, which is just pleasure to listen to. So yeah, and red line is I think 11,100 RPM, and it sounds like a Formula 1 car from the early 2000s, late 90s. Beautiful. I've probably said beautiful too many times in this video, but it is just stunning. And the fact that it's 1,000 brake horsepower from a naturally aspirated engine. So it's the most powerful naturally aspirated engine in the world, probably. Because it's just fantastic. Yeah. And just think, right? Okay, so I was thinking about this earlier. So Volkswagen, what was it, in the early 2000s, invested a lot of money to get a 16-cylinder W engine to get to 1,000 brake horsepower. And it took them 4 turbos and a lot of money to get 1,000 brake horsepower reliably. And now Cosworth are claiming that the new Valkyrie engine is very reliable and that it can do, I want to say it was 6,000 miles every oil change, or maybe 10,000 miles every oil change, which is incredible for something that revs that high and is that, specific and that powerful, really. So, yeah, well done, Cosworth. Absolutely smashed it there. And yeah, hearing that car in person is just going to be incredible. So, Aston Martin, please can I hear the car? Yeah. Fantastic. That is some brilliant news. Yes, and then talking about Volkswagen then. So, not talking about the Bugatti. No, we're talking about their latest scandal. Yes, latest. So, of course, they had Dieselgate 3 years ago. 3 years ago, 2015, wasn't it? But now they've got a new one. So, apparently there's been a report from a German magazine of some sort that they have been selling pre-production cars. So there's sort of standard regulation basically with pre-production cars is as soon as they've been used for press sort of releases, they're there to be scrapped because they have been made before sort of all the standards have been in place for the production system. Sorry for the noise. Yeah, so they've been produced before all the standards into the production system have come in. So therefore, there will be some errors within the car. You can't really safely sign off if not every single error has been done to the correct standards of a produced road car. That's just part of pre-production vehicles, as they are in testing. So the thing is, they must not be sold to customers. But Volkswagen have just ignored that, basically, and I think they've claimed they did checks on the car and then sold them out to German customers. So I think it was 17,000 cars that are going to have to be recalled and scrapped. And it's just like, you just sort of don't, do you? You know, I can't believe there's a lot of cars. I think it's been happening since mid-2000s. I think about 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, roughly. Then on just selling, pre-production cars. That's just unacceptable, really, isn't it? If that is true, then you just... Can you trust Volkswagen? I wouldn't. Not twice now that they've lied to their customers. I wouldn't buy a Volkswagen. But there we are. And I think it's just, with pre-production vehicles, surely there are other uses. Like, if you really, really don't want to scrap it, well, why don't you then use them not for press, but for sort of certain experience. So I'm trying to think of different examples here now. So instead of, well, sort of like track days, you know. So you have like a Volkswagen experience, and you can try all the vehicles. So they're almost like demonstrators, but you're not even on the roads. It could just be on a track, and you get to experience it. You go, yeah, I like that car. I might go out and buy the real version, and you could have that in every town because you have so many pre-production cars. It's just crazy, absolutely crazy. So. Yes, no, bad news from Volkswagen, and yeah, I wouldn't buy one. And that includes Volkswagen Audi Group, really, doesn't it? Because I don't know how far this goes, whether it is just Volkswagen alone, or whether Audi have also been selling pre-production cars, if Seat, Skoda, don't know how far it goes. But yeah, it's not good news. Yes, and then finally, the last topic is again Aston Martin. That's 3 topics this week. And that's about the Aston Martin DB6. And you're thinking, well, what's new about the DB6? That car's been out 60 years. Is it 60? Yeah, it would be about 60 years. Crikey. I say as if I remember. Yeah, so the DB6 has now had a slight modification in which Aston Martin are going to make electric powertrain for it. Now, I would be alarm bells ringing, no, do not do that. However, they have also said that this is completely reversible. And that sounds quite familiar, because I think Jaguar did that about, 2 years ago, I think they mentioned that now, with the E-Type. So using the original engine mount and transmission mounts, fitting an electric motor and sort of battery pack and everything into the car. And yes, so this is going to be happening to the DB6 as well. And just that very word is just so important to me, where it says reversible. Because suddenly, if you did have a DB6, I wish I did. If you did have a DB6 and, you know, you lived in central London, let's say, and you wanted to drive you a lovely, beautiful car, but you wanted to do it quite a lot and you didn't want to have to pay the central congestion charge and everything, just buy the electric one, or just get it converted, and you keep the engine and drivetrain or whatever in your garage, and then you got a win-win there. You can drive your DB6 and not have to worry about putting miles on the engine, and you get a beautiful engine to look at and transmission. So yeah, I quite like that. And now there's a race to create the most beautiful classic electric car. As long as it has that reversible title in the name, then I'm completely down for that, and I think that's awfully exciting. And it sort of puts a solid future into classic cars as well. But yes, the question really is to choose which one would you go for, the Jaguar E-Type or the Aston Martin DB6. And this is really hard for me to say, but I think I would go for the Aston Martin, because the Jaguar sort of messed around with the dashboard a bit, which I wasn't too keen on. It had sort of like a screen in it, and wasn't really my thing. I felt like that would go out of date very fast, whilst Aston Martin I think is just as is. I think they have to change about one dial, that's it. So again, completely reversible, which is fantastic news. Anyway, that's the end of our topics then. So thank you very much for watching this video, and the next video will be a Christmas special, so I do hope you enjoy. Yeah, it's going to be very, very different. I mean, it's like a video I've never made before, so do look forward to that. I hope it works. And yes, I will see you then. So have a wonderful build up to Christmas and spend some time with your families and all of that. And yes, I will see you most likely on Christmas Day. Farewell. Cheers.